Hey, welcome in. Glad that you have taken a few minutes to join with us on another podcast called Beyond Hiawatha, The Miracle Lives On. And we have so enjoyed bringing these to you and talking with some people from what Hiawatha is doing right now, but also some people from when Hiawatha began and everything in between. It has been a real pleasure. And today, I'm excited to bring to you a couple of staff members who wound up actually not just serving on staff together, but serving Jesus together for a lifetime. And they love the Lord and love their family and love Hiawatha. And we are so glad to bring in Jack and Debbie Miller to the broadcast today. So, guys, thank you so much for taking a few minutes and joining with us.
Well, our privilege, and we've been looking forward to being able to reconnect with you.
Yeah, it is awesome. We were reminiscing a little bit, and actually, let's not take away any of the thunder. Your first memory of landed on Hiawatha. Now, I know, Jack, you mentioned that you guys started in the early 70s on staff, but were you campers before that?
So I started as a camper in 1969, and then also as a camper in 70, started on staff in 71.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah,
Debbie, you were a camper as well?
I did. I came as a camper in 71 and
Okay.
was just a camper 1 year and started on staff in 72.
Okay. Awesome. And the two of you as kind of a twosome, did that start at Hiawatha or was it just a continuation of what had already happened?
Yes, it started at Hiawatha,
Oh,
but I do have to back up and say that when she was a camper in 71 and I was on staff, we do not remember each other. So
huh.
we didn't make much of an impression.
Yeah.
But on staff day over at your folks' place,
Yeah.
Deb and I went over there. First time I had met her, I saw this gal in this red dress. I won't say that it was a little short, but and immediately like said I'd like to get to know this gal, and then found out that she actually only lived 30 miles from me,
Oh
so
my
that was a
goodness.
bonus, and that kind of was the beginning of us having a relationship.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. So what church did you come with, Jack? And then what church did you come with, Deb?
So First Baptist Church, Ray Mayhew, Ken
Oh
Martin,
yeah.
yeah, who had a history with your dad,
Yeah.
obviously from the Detroit area,
Yeah.
and so that's how I got involved in it, Hiawatha, because we took that long bus ride from church,
Yeah.
6+ hours to the camp, and yep. So
Yeah,
Okay.
I came from a small church in Bangor, and I was connected with Hiawatha through Bob Damaski,
The
who was
Damascus.
on
Yeah. You had a
staff. And
sister named Debbie, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so he was on staff and he went to my church, and he's the one that got a couple of us from the youth group to come up there in 71. That's how I got connected there. Had never heard of it before that,
Yeah.
but fell in love with it. The first, just as a camper there, I knew that that was an awesome place.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay, if you can, and I know we're going back a minute here, but first impressions, Jack, you talked about that long bus ride. I mean, it is back in the day a long bus ride.
yeah.
A lot of those buses had governors on them that wouldn't allow
So
you to go fast. Um,
yes.
and so now all of a sudden you get dropped off basically in a sand pit. So what was your first thought?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like, when you go to something new, you're
Yep.
a little bit skeptical. And I can't say that I was overwhelmed or super impressed with the grounds, but the grounds became secondary to what the camp was about.
Yeah.
And so even as a camper, I very much enjoyed the speakers, the music. For me, it was a blessing to be able to see other Christian teenagers that loved Jesus and got excited about him.
Yeah.
And so that was very encouraging to me. But yeah.
yeah.
Now, and the other thing is now it sounds like Jack coming from Allegan, he'd have been there with quite a few friends because they always brought a busload. But Debbie,
Yes.
you're only coming with a couple people.
Friend, one friend.
Yeah, That's got to be a little different when you land on the shores of Pyatt Lake there the first time.
Yeah, it was a little bit, but I got to be honest with you. I think what impressed me from the beginning was your dad
Hmm.
because he was so down to earth and just he connected so well with all the campers, participated in everything with the campers, and you could just
Yeah.
tell that he not only loved the ministry but loved kids.
Yeah.
And that was really impressive to me.
Yeah. That he did. Yeah. He loved young people. And if there was anything he loved more than young people, he loved the potential that they had for
Mhm.
making a difference for Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely evident in everything that happened at the camp, and what he tried also, as I'm sure you found out, to uh, put into his staff to make sure that they were understanding of that importance too, with
Yeah.
the people that were coming. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, do you by chance remember, Jack, who the speaker was your week at camp?
Well, I don't, some of, again, you're challenging my memory
Yeah,
here.
no, I
It's
know.
over
So
50 years.
so
Uh,
I guess the one speaker I do remember as a camper was Don Loney.
huh? Yeah.
Do you remember that
Oh
name?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So Don Loney, he was a goofy guy,
Yep.
but he taught truth, and he really wanted to make a difference in the teenagers' lives.
Yeah.
And then of course Doug Oldham. I'd never heard of Doug Oldham, and then his music and his love for the Lord made a big impression on me as well.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's cool. Don actually gave the last sermon that he ever delivered in his ministry. He gave at Hiawatha Youth Camp. It was,
really,
I'm thinking it's the 90s, and I'm not sure exactly when, but he had said, "I'm done," and he gave that last message,
wow,
and stepped off, and that was it. But yeah, he had an impact on kids all over the country, around the world, and at Hiawatha for decades.
Mhm.
So um okay, so you're campers, and then you jump in on staff, and both of you served on staff before there was any kind of a miracle building. So you are working in the old dining room,
Yeah.
which became the sweet shop, and the old chapel, which became the rec hall.
Correct. Yes, and I mean that's all we knew of camp initially
Yeah,
was that. I can remember the Friday night suppers and the Dave, Bob, and Mark trio
yeah, the banquet.
singing. Yep,
Yeah.
singing some of the romantic songs,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and Deb and I weren't supposed to be dating,
right.
but because your dad had a
That was
rule,
the
Yeah,
rule.
if you weren't a couple when you came up to camp, you couldn't be a couple at camp.
yeah, yeah,
But we had our ways of getting around that. So,
yeah.
but yes, that I remember that. I remember, kids walking down the aisle in the tabernacle and going over then to the dining hall and counseling with them and that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually that is one of those Tuesday nights is when I accepted Christ. Dad had spoken on a Tuesday night, and I got up. I think it was the last Tuesday night of camp, and stepped over to the dining room, and that was the initial decision that I made for Christ. And so I remember those. I remember those times vividly, even though I was a kid. And honestly, as a kid, I have to say that Debbie was one of my first kid crushes, and she probably had to go and tell my dad, "Hey, could you tell your son to stop following me around? I don't need help in the dining room." But I was quite the pest back then to the staff, and um, so
Mm,
so when you jump on staff, then there's a year where again still rec hall, dining room, chapel up, in their old places, but then there was that transition,
Yeah.
and I think it's probably 1973 when
yeah.
we moved into the Miracle Building. Uh,
Yes.
and so I have to, because of, and we'll get to this in just a minute, because the camp is now moving in a different direction and actually a lot closer to you. Um, but in that day, the Miracle Building was done, but it wasn't done. And there was just so much work that had to be done before camp could happen. And again, I remember part of that as a kid, but my guess is you remember a little bit better because Dad says that that year, as soon as the staff arrived on the grounds, there was nothing but work.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and I can remember spreading a lot of dirt, raking,
Huh.
moving rubbish, just all that kind of things that. So I did a lot of stuff on the outside because some of us guys that your dad thought could work maybe in that capacity,
Yeah.
and so there was a lot of work being done to get so that it would look nice. I mean, the inside looked nice, but yeah,
Yeah,
so
it was I remember him, he would give that illustration every year. I mean, every he would talk about the staff that came up that year in 1973 and as soon as there was no time for a softball game and
oh,
you'd get done and we'd run and grab a burger and come back in
yeah,
and get to
Yeah.
yeah,
work.
yeah,
But but he also talked about that was the year that somebody came to him and said, "Hey, you know what? We've worked all this time and we've got to make an impact." And so that was the first summer, I think, on a Friday night that he had the staff just kind of go off by themselves for a few minutes and read and pray, and then they came back together. And every Friday from there on, he would use that illustration about
yeah,
work. And the reason it's so interesting is because there probably there might have been another summer like that where there was a building that had been renovated or something and it needed, a lot of attention and the staff worked. But truthfully, I think that this coming summer will be more like the summer of 1973 than any other summer since.
yeah.
And I've been trying to tell the staff members that I know this is going to be a bit of a rude awakening. I know you think you understand about work, but uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I just have a funny feeling when the push comes to shove, we get to that. A lot of great things are happening on that new campus that we have, but there's going to be some work that needs to be done before campers get there. So
yeah, for sure.
interesting though that we are coming right back to where it all started for you, Jack.
Yeah. So I was not very familiar with the camp, the former camp that Hiawatha was able to take over.
Yeah.
I have some vivid memories that I think Ken Martin, who was our youth pastor, we did a fall retreat, and I think it might have been at that camp.
Hmm.
And that would have probably been like the fall of maybe 1972. But I can't be sure. I just remember going to this place not far from the church, and it was an already established camp. It didn't have the facilities like the Miracle Building, but I do remember we had a fall retreat, and I think it was at that camp.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, there's quite a bit of work that is being even amidst the winter conditions. There's quite a bit of work that's being done over there
mm-hmm.
in preparation for. And one of the things that we're lacking is an auditorium. So they are building an auditorium,
Mm-hmm.
and that is going in place and hopefully is completed sometime around April or May. So it's a lot of it's incredible, it's awesome, but a lot of work and trust and all that kind of thing, going into getting
Exciting.
ready for this summer. So yeah, very much so.
Right.
And kind of cool too that we're coming to the west side because so many camper staff have come from the west side of the state for a very long time. And you're right, First Baptist Allegan was a big supporter of Hiawatha for a very long time with
Yes.
Pastor Mayhew and Ken Martin. I think even I'm in a studio in Calvary right now that we've put together, and Ken Martin, I believe, is the first person that was ordained. No, Ken Martin was the first person that was married at Calvary Baptist Church.
Oh, really? Okay.
My
Wow.
grandfather married he and his wife, and they were the
Okay.
first wedding that took place at our church. So
Wow.
yeah, long time. So how many years did you guys wind up serving then on staff?
So I served 71, 72, 73, took a summer off and did an internship at First Baptist.
Hmm.
And then Deb and I came back in 75 as a married couple, serving on executive staff.
Yeah.
And that was such a highlight because, as you know, your mom, hospitality lady,
Yep.
entertained all the speakers and the musicians at their
Yeah.
place late into the night.
Every night.
It's just like, I can't believe this lady does this, but she was awesome. But there was kind of an expectation that,
Shindigs then.
sorry?
You got to come to some of those shindigs. That's what
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, for us, that was special.
Yeah.
To be able to get to know these speakers and musicians in a more personal way off stage, understand that they're human, but they love Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that we have some great memories of that.
Yeah.
But there was an expectation by your dad that the executive staff would come to his house.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'd have to excuse ourselves because as the athletic director and so forth, I had to get up early in the morning and start off things. And so, but,
They used to have those morning tournaments too.
Yeah.
They did away with those at some point in time.
Yes.
Oh, but
Yeah.
back in that day, yeah, Dad would want the exec staff there, and also there was a his big concern was he preferred for there to be one conversation.
Yeah. He gave us the ground rules before we ever started.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting time. You're really going to enjoy this, but here's what you need to do. Those were some incredible opportunities, and I of course was able to benefit from those all my life. It's one of those aspects of camp that has unfortunately gone away with the passage of time and place and all that kind of thing. But it was definitely a blessing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm pulling at your strings here a little bit, but any speakers or services or anything like that stand out from any of the years that you were there?
Well, I remember lots of messages, and we've talked about this over the years, but I did rededicate my life to Christ at camp, and that was very impactful for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, and I think it might have been Jay Kessler giving a message from Romans 12:2 about not being conformed to the world, but being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I remember him putting circles on a board and had pictures of people squeezed in there. And he said, don't let the world squeeze you into its mold. And that had just a huge impact on me, that I needed to make sure that my life represented Christ and not the world.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Jack, anything like that?
I remember your dad's message about the little foxes.
Huh. Yeah.
You remember? You might have been too young.
Yeah, no,
but
I remember
that had an impact on me and just helped me to do some introspection about some of the little sins, the little things that can come into our life and cause us to go astray, to not have Christ be first in our lives. And so I remember that the little foxes message he did. So, yeah.
And it had to be, and I must admit this part I don't remember very well, but you talked about when Dad spoke on Tuesday nights originally, when you guys are in the tabernacle, young people have to get up and make their way to the dining room, which they did by the scores.
Yes.
But that first Tuesday night in the Miracle Building, that had to be kind of unique and special, just from the standpoint of now you've got this.
We got room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, to come forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The young
Yeah.
people can come forward and make
Yeah.
those decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, your dad had prepared us for that ahead of time. He talked about how I want you as a staff to come up, kneel right beside them. He said, we got all this room here. And now, you know, we're going to take advantage of when the campers come forward, that we're going to pray with them and deal with them right away. And so, you know, he obviously had done his part to prepare us for how we do the follow-up. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And we still, to this day, that is Tuesday nights are still a major part. In fact, I had the privilege of post the Miracle Building going down, unfortunately. We went back to that old tabernacle. And so recalling how they had given the invitation and invited young people to go to the dining room, that's what I just said. I told the staff, I said, this is what we're going to do. We'll see how it goes.
yeah.
Thankfully, the Lord blessed and it went well. Yeah, unique experiences. That's so cool. Was Dad, was he part of your wedding?
He married us.
He did.
So he came. Yes. So
Mhm.
Deb's church in Bangor was a little too small to have what we anticipated would be, you know, over 100 people. So she got married. We got married at First Baptist.
Yeah.
And both of us, and I talked to Ray Mayhew about it, and both of us wanted your dad, Billy, to do the wedding.
Yeah.
So he graciously came over and did the wedding. And he reminded me that I must have had a little preacher in me because he do you remember that?
No.
He said something about he was wrapping it up, and he said, in the name of the Father, and I said, in the name of the Son, and he goes, I'm supposed to say that, he said. So when I would see him, he would remind me that, you know, I was trying to take over the ceremony. I was just nervous. I did.
That's good. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Dad, he would do, he would claim that he was doing his best to keep couples apart at Hiawatha, but he loved being a part of so many ceremonies of staff members that met each other and fell in love. And
well, I think we thought we were really being coy, and yet he knew the whole time that we were.
So we would come off the platform on different aisles, and then come in and meet in the middle to sit by each other. And I was sure that sometimes Billy was just looking at us, you know, like saying, "What are you two doing? You're not a couple yet." So, oh yeah.
Yeah, he seemed to soften a little bit the older he got, but I do recall that I'm afraid couples like you and Jerry and Ruth and that kind of thing, you know, he enjoyed it too much, just trying to keep them apart as best he could. But anyways, Ed, do you still maintain communication with any of the people that you?
You know, not as much as we would like to have done. You know, we spent some time in Wisconsin, actually connected with Bob Carpenter for a little bit while we were there, and then served in Kentwood, and then served up in Cadillac. And so,
well, we kept in touch with
George Collins, Jerry and George Collins.
Jack did a mission trip with George.
Yeah, our church supported him, and so we did a mission survey trip, and George and I went to India and went to Burma and Thailand. But as far as, you know, I guess I wish I could say that we kept in close connection with people, but Chuck Seavey actually stood up in our wedding
Yeah.
And Chuck and I roomed together for a little bit at Cornerstone.
Okay.
So, but that was early on. So,
Yeah.
Sue Neeb was in our wedding too, and she was on staff there. And we kept in touch for years. And just in the last several years, we've kind of not been in touch as much, but yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
So,
Life happens and
yeah.
yeah,
you just wind up getting pulled in so many different directions and you only have so much time. And the older your kids get, and that kind
yeah,
of thing, the more time that you want to be with them and grandkids coming along and all that
grandkids.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So just give us a little timeline, if you would, of because I know you guys were in ministry and you did that for a long time in numerous places. So just after Hiawatha, how did that all work out, and where did God lead you?
So after Hiawatha, we went to a small town in Wisconsin called Union Grove, served as a youth pastor for 3 years there. And then Dr. Weens, who actually had a cottage on
Yeah.
Piatt Lake, he knew me from Hiawatha days. He contacted me and said, Jack, would you be interested in coming back over to Michigan? He said, I've just been called to be a pastor of a church. I'm going to be part-time at the seminary, part-time, well, three-quarters time at the church. You'll get some preaching experience, da, da, da. And so I did that. While I was there ministering with him, I went back to seminary, got my master's, and then he retired. And then I moved on and took my first pastorate in Kentwood for 17 years, and then moved up to Cadillac and served there 17 years, and then retired from there. The Sunday that they had our farewell Sunday for us, one of my associates who we had this plan took over as the senior pastor, lead pastor. The next day, the state shut down everything because of COVID. And so, bless his heart, he had to navigate the board and the church through all that. I know you remember what that was like. And he was making phone calls to me. He'd say, Jack, what do I, and I said, Andy, there's no textbook for this. This is all new ground for everyone, so, and then we moved back to the Grand Rapids area. We retired in 2020, moved back to the Grand Rapids area. I did a interim at the Kentwood Church for 10 months. They had lost their pastor kind of suddenly. And then after that, Deb and I started working with Focus on the Family.
Oh, wow.
So we serve at a marriage retreat center in Greenville, south of Greenville, Michigan. Been doing that for about 4 years. Yeah. And love it, and seen many marriages restored and helped through that ministry. And so, again, something we can do together, and very positive in that.
And do your kids live in the area, or are they?
Yeah, they're all within 30 minutes of us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Then we moved back to Grand Rapids. We have 3 boys and 10 grandkids.
Nice.
And they all live in the Grand Rapids area. So we moved back here to be close to them.
Sure.
And Deb worked, well, you can tell them where you worked at RBC. Tell them about that.
Well, I worked at RBC Ministry for years and years with Sports Spectrum magazine.
Yeah.
And so, so Grand Rapids really has been our home for about 25 years before we went up to Cadillac. So this is where our boys were raised, and where they grew their families. And so this is where we came back.
Yeah.
So I'll brag on her a little bit. Part of her responsibility was to contact sports agents, also athletes, set up interviews with them, that type of thing. Yeah. She and Ernie Harwell were on a first name basis. So she'd set up.
Tiger fan, so that was really great. But a fun job, very fun job. I felt like the Lord really placed me in a place that I would love and where I could be used. And RBC Ministries is a great ministry. So it was a very positive experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Until our boys were, I think I left there when our boys, I didn't work for several years while the boys were little. And then I started there when Jared, our youngest, was in 9th grade, and worked until a couple of years after we moved to Cadillac. I was able to work from home there, but then, that kind of faded. So,
My guess is your boys were like sports, crazy. I mean,
They really didn't have much of a choice, did they?
both of your parents, I do remember that.
We tried to get our youngest to do piano, and that lasted for about 6 months.
It was a disaster.
But yeah, they played, high school basketball and tennis. Those are their two key sports: cross country, soccer. Two of my boys played some college tennis, and then my oldest grandson is playing college basketball for Hope College.
Oh,
so
awesome.
we go to those games a lot.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
that's not too far away.
Yeah.
No,
I know that is pretty cool. Jack was he's they're a few years older than me, since I was just that little kid chasing Debbie around in the dining room. But Jack was mentioning that the staff guys would be playing basketball, and then again this stupid 8-year-old director's son would come up there,
and we had to let you play because you were the director's son.
Especially if Dad came up there to watch, it's like, are they not going to let him in? So they would let me play. But the truth is, I learned more about basketball from guys like Jack and Chuck Seavey and Dan
Brando.
Yeah, I mean, every day those guys were playing, and it was some pretty fierce Christ-like competition going on in those games. And yeah, I learned to love the game, and I still do. So we actually have our first granddaughter.
Oh.
And so I'm already preparing her to be, the next Caitlin Clark.
There you go.
Throwing her ball and getting her used to it, that kind of thing. So she wears her little Nike tennis shoes around, and
cool.
That's great.
Well, it is so awesome to see you guys, and what a journey that God has allowed you to be on, and so cool that that you were able, as you said, to do so much of it together, and continue to minister together. And that is just awesome, the way God has worked that out. And as Dad used to say, and to a certain extent, it all started at a place called Hiawatha.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, we're anxious to see the new camp.
Yeah, you had to be you had to be a little excited, Jack, when you heard that it was coming right to your backyard there, where you used to grow.
So you remember Wendy Mayhew, Timmerman now.
Yeah.
So at my sister's funeral that I had a part in, she came up to me immediately, and she was just bubbling. And she said, "Have you heard that Hiawatha is going to be outside of Allegan?" I said, "Yeah, Wendy, I know, I've heard, I've been in contact." So she was so excited. So
yeah, we have heard from her and Lois and quite a few people from First Baptist Allegan back in the day that are excited for that. And it makes sense. I was telling my mom, I'm like, I remember, again, as a kid, we'd pile in the car and head over, and my parents would spend the day with Pastor Mayhew and his wife, and our family would get together and that kind of stuff. So they were longtime friends, and it goes back quite a few years. So so that's pretty awesome. Is there a thread? Is there something? It's interesting. I think Debbie already touched on it when she talked about the difference that the message made from Jay Kessler about not letting the world around you squeeze you into its mold. Is there anything from those days, whether it was a decision or a message like Debbie mentioned, or just something, there was something about Hiawatha that kept bringing you back, so that even a year after you're married, you still come back and serve, and you could still recollect a lot of that stuff. I'm just wondering if there's a thread that started back then that has kind of woven its way and continued on with you through all of these years of ministry and service.
I think for me, the big thing was to realize that there were other peers of my age that could be excited about serving Christ, and that it was a neat thing to do.
Yeah.
And it was genuine. And this, I mean, you're going to have some staff members that are more in tune than others. But for me, it was just so refreshing and encouraging to be part of the kingdom with other people my age
Yeah.
that love Jesus and wanted to see people come to know Christ and to build the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest, I mean, that's one of the things that kept me wanting to go back and serve at Hiawatha. Yeah, I enjoyed playing softball. I enjoyed playing on basketball on that court, but it really was the staff and our mutual love for the Lord that kept me going and inspired me. So,
yeah, amen. Debbie, anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I don't think so. I just feel like it had a huge impact on my life, just overall. Like I said, I rededicated my life to the Lord there. And I grew so much in my Christian faith just through the messages there and the speakers and the musicians and the friends I made there and kept even over the years, that we connected for so long. And it just had a huge impact on my life. Obviously, I met my husband there. So we can look back, and when people say, "How did you meet?" we say we met at Christian Youth Camp, and it just has been such a huge part of our life that it's just amazing to me how much it has woven itself through our family.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we are excited to hopefully see you in person at some point, since we are headed in that direction this summer.
We will make a point to get down there.
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe not in the middle of winter.
No, I think they have a few inches of snow right now, and it's definitely prohibiting some of what needs to take place. But that's par for the course on the west side of the state.
Yes, yeah.
So, but man, thank you so much for being a part of this today. We have so enjoyed it. It's great to see you, and great to hear how God has blessed you two and your family and your ministries down through the years, and glad for the small part that Hiawatha had in making all of that happen. So appreciate
thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Billy.
It's good to see you.
And thank you for listening in. Hey, listen, if you want more information about Hiawatha Youth Camp, you can simply go to hiawathayouthcamp.com, and you can actually pick up the schedule for this coming summer. We've got the weeks already lined up. In fact, the first week of teen camp is already sold out. And so make sure that you jump in. If you are a church leader and would like to bring a group, we would love to make that happen too. And you can check out, again, the information on the website. Call the office and let them know, and we would be glad to get you information on this upcoming summer. And I would encourage you, if you are able, Hiawatha has been blessed by God in so many ways, some of which you just heard in these past few minutes. But we've been blessed with this new camp that we are making our home on the west side. But it does not come without some pretty huge financial responsibility. And if you want to be a part of that, we would welcome that and encourage it. And again, you could simply head to the website, hiawathayouthcamp.com, and there is a Give Now tab, and you can be part of the miracle that continues on from Hiawatha Youth Camp. It has been 60 plus years that the ministry has been happening, and thousands of young people, and the difference that Hiawatha has made because of the grace of Christ and the message of Jesus has literally gone around the world. And so we're grateful for all that God has done and looking forward to what he's going to do in the future. Thank you for being a part of it. Hit subscribe if you would, if you haven't done so already, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. God bless.